2 hours ago, Sarah walked into a boardroom full of executives and commanded their attention before she even spoke. What changed? She discovered something that 99% of people will never learn: the real science behind unshakable confidence. And I'm about to share it with you. But first, let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to own every room they enter? They're not necessarily the smartest, the best looking, or even the most successful. But there's something about them that makes everyone else lean in, take notice, and remember them long after they've left. What they have isn't luck. It isn't genetics. And it sure as hell isn't what the self-help industry has been selling you. It's a specific neurological pattern that can be installed in anyone, including you. But here's what nobody tells you. The confidence industry has been lying to you. They tell you to fake it till you make it. Use power poses. Think positive thoughts. Practice affirmations in the mirror. But here's what they don't tell you, and this might anger some people. Every single one of these methods is actually making your confidence problem worse. I know that sounds crazy. I know you've probably been told the opposite by therapists, coaches, and every self-help book ever written. But stay with me, because I'm about to prove it to you using actual neuroscience, not feel-good platitudes. My name is Coach L, and for the past 7 years, I've been obsessed with one question. Why do some people radiate unshakable confidence while others, equally talented, equally intelligent, struggle with self-doubt their entire lives? I've studied the neuroscience research coming out of Harvard, Stanford, and MIT. I've interviewed Fortune 500 CEOs, Navy SEALs, and world-class performers. I've worked with over 2,000 people struggling with confidence issues, from software engineers like Sarah to surgeons who could save lives but couldn't speak up in staff meetings. And what I discovered will change everything you think you know about confidence. Because here's what's at stake. Every day you wait to fix this is another day of missed opportunities. Another promotion that goes to someone less qualified but more confident. Another relationship that never starts because you couldn't make the first move. Another idea that dies in your head because you were too scared to speak up. The cost of low confidence isn't just emotional. It's financial, professional, and deeply personal. Studies show that confident people earn 20% more than their less confident counterparts. They get promoted faster, have better relationships, and report higher life satisfaction. But that's not even the real cost. The real cost is who you never become. The person you could be if you weren't held back by anxiety, self-doubt, and the lies you've been told about how confidence actually works. Let me tell you Sarah's real story, because it perfectly illustrates the biggest lie about confidence that's been sold to millions of people. Sarah tried everything. She read Lean In 3 times. She practiced power poses in bathroom stalls before meetings. She paid $3,000 for a confidence coaching program that taught her to believe in herself and visualize success. She even tried improvisational comedy classes, thinking if she could be funny on stage, she could be confident in meetings. Nothing worked. In fact, she got worse. Here's why. Every single method she tried was based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how confidence actually works in the brain. The self-help industry treats confidence like it's a feeling you need to generate or a mindset you need to adopt. But confidence isn't in your head, it's in your nervous system. Real confidence is a neurological state characterized by specific brainwave patterns, hormone levels, and neural pathway activations. When you try to fake confidence, your brain knows you're lying. Your amygdala, the fear center, actually becomes more active, not less. You're literally training your brain to be anxious while pretending to be confident. This is why affirmations feel fake. This is why power poses feel ridiculous. This is why fake it till you make it often makes you feel like a fraud. Your nervous system and your conscious mind are fighting each other. But what if I told you there's a way to actually shift your nervous system into the same state that naturally confident people live in? What if you could access real confidence, not performed confidence, but the deep, unshakable kind that comes from within? Sarah's breakthrough came when she stopped trying to be confident and started understanding what confidence actually is. It happened on a Tuesday evening when she stumbled across a research paper about the neuroscience of command presence in military leaders. The paper described how elite soldiers are trained to access a specific neurological state under pressure, a state that allows them to make clear decisions, communicate effectively, and lead others even in life-or-death situations. This wasn't about courage or bravery, it was about nervous system regulation. That's when Sarah realized she'd been approaching confidence all wrong. She wasn't lacking confidence, she was trapped in the wrong neurological state. And if there was a way to train soldiers to access command presence, there had to be a way to train anyone to access true confidence. The technique Sarah discovered takes exactly 90 seconds. It's based on a principle called neurological state stacking, a method for rapidly shifting your nervous system from anxiety to confidence using specific physical and mental triggers. Here's how it works. Step 1. The grounding protocol. 30 seconds. Stand with your feet hip-width apart. Feel the weight of your body distributed evenly between both feet. Take 3 deep breaths, but here's the key. Exhale twice as long as you inhale. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and tells your brain you're safe. But we're not just breathing, we're establishing what neuroscientists call proprioceptive awareness. You're literally grounding your nervous system in your physical body instead of in your anxious thoughts. Step 2. The spine activation. 30 seconds. Imagine a string pulling the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Let your spine lengthen naturally. Now, and this is crucial, make micro-movements with your head and shoulders. Small, slow adjustments that wake up your proprioceptors and signal to your brain that you have control over your physical space. This isn't about standing up straight, it's about activating the neural pathways associated with command and control. Your brain is constantly monitoring your body position and using that information to determine your emotional state. Step 3. The confidence anchor. 30 seconds. Here's where it gets interesting. Pick a spot on the wall, at eye level. Look at it with soft focus, not intense staring, but calm, steady attention. Now, while maintaining that focus, recall a moment when you felt completely confident. Not confident, competent. A moment when you knew exactly what you were doing. This could be something as simple as cooking your favorite dish, or as complex as solving a work problem. The key is competence, not confidence. What's happening in your brain is remarkable. You're creating a neurological bridge between the physical state of grounded presence and the mental state of confidence. This combination creates what researchers call embodied confidence, confidence that exists in your nervous system, not just your thoughts. Sarah tried this technique before her next meeting with her boss. She'd been putting off asking for a raise for 8 months. She stood in the elevator, did the 90-second reset, and walked into his office. For the first time in her career, she didn't rehearse what she was going to say. She didn't try to pump herself up with positive self-talk. She simply existed in the neurological state of grounded competence and spoke from that place. Mr. Johnson, I'd like to discuss adjusting my compensation to reflect my contributions over the past year. The words came out steady, clear, and matter-of-fact. No apology. No justification. Just a simple, confident statement. Her boss looked up from his computer, really looked at her for the first time in months. Sarah, I've been wondering when you were going to bring this up. Let's talk numbers. She got the raise. But more importantly, she understood for the first time what real confidence felt like. But Sarah's transformation was just beginning. The 90-second neural reset was just the foundation. Next came what I call the authority algorithm, a set of specific behaviors that signal competence and command to everyone around you. Here's what most people don't understand. Authority isn't about being the loudest person in the room or trying to dominate conversations. True authority is what happens when your nervous system is so regulated that other people's nervous systems naturally sync to yours. The 3 pillars of authority. Pillar 1. Spatial intelligence. Confident people have a different relationship with space. They don't shrink or try to make themselves smaller. But they also don't aggressively take up space. They simply inhabit their space fully and naturally. Watch how Sarah moves now. She doesn't rush. She doesn't fidget. When she walks into a room, she takes a moment to orient herself before moving. This isn't calculated, it's neurological. Her nervous system is regulated, so her movements are deliberate and grounded. Pillar 2. Vocal calibration. Your voice is a direct reflection of your nervous system state. When you're anxious, your voice goes higher, faster, and more nasal. When you're truly confident, your voice drops into your chest, slows down, and has what scientists call vocal fry, a slight roughness that signals authority. Sarah learned to speak from her diaphragm, not her throat. She learned to pause between thoughts instead of filling silence with and like. Most importantly, she learned that confident people aren't afraid of silence. Pillar 3. Attention command. This is the most powerful pillar, and it's where most people get it wrong. They think confidence means constant eye contact or trying to be the center of attention. But real attention command is about being fully present to whatever and whoever is in front of you. When Sarah speaks to you now, you feel like you're the only person in the room. Not because she's trying to charm you, but because her nervous system isn't scattered with anxiety. She can give you her complete attention, which makes her incredibly compelling to be around. But even with these techniques, Sarah almost sabotaged her own progress. That's because there are 5 invisible confidence killers that most people do, without realizing it. If you don't eliminate these, no technique in the world will help you. Killer number 1. Apologetic language. Sorry to bother you, but... I might be wrong, but... This is probably a stupid question, but... Every time you apologize for taking up space, you're training your brain that you don't deserve to be heard. Sarah caught herself doing this 47 times in a single day when she started paying attention. She was apologizing for existing. The fix isn't to stop being polite, it's to communicate your needs and thoughts without apology. Killer number 2. Social media validation seeking. This one might hurt, but it's crucial. Every time you post something hoping for likes, comments, or validation, you're externalizing your sense of worth. You're literally training your brain that your value comes from other people's approval. Confident people use social media as a tool for communication, not validation. They post what they want to share, not what they think will get the most engagement. Killer number 3. Preparation over dependence. Sarah used to write scripts for phone calls. She'd rehearse conversations in her head dozens of times before having them. She thought this was being thorough, but it was actually reinforcing her belief that she couldn't handle spontaneous interaction. Confident people prepare, but they don't over-prepare. They trust their competence to handle whatever comes up in the moment. Killer number 4. Comparative thinking. She's so much more articulate than me. He's naturally charismatic. I could never do what they do. Every comparison is a confidence killer because it takes you out of your own experience and into a fantasy about someone else's life. Real confidence comes from competing with your past self, not with other people. Killer number 5. Story addiction. This is the biggest one. I'm just not a confident person. I've always been shy. I'm an introvert. I don't like being the center of attention. These aren't descriptions of reality. They're stories you tell yourself that become self-fulfilling prophecies. Sarah's biggest breakthrough came when she realized that "I'm not confident" wasn't a fact about her personality. It was a story she'd been telling herself for so long that she'd forgotten it was just a story. Once Sarah eliminated these invisible killers, she was ready for what I call the dangerous confidence protocol. I call it dangerous because it works so well that it can fundamentally change how people perceive and respond to you. The protocol has 4 phases, designed to be implemented over 30 days. Phase 1. Neural Reset Integration. Days 1 through 7. Every morning for 1 week, Sarah practiced the 90-second neural reset. Not just when she needed it, but as a daily routine. She was literally rewiring her default nervous system state from anxiety to grounded confidence. By day 3, her colleagues started noticing something different. By day 7, her boss asked if she'd been working out because she seemed more energetic. Phase 2. Authority Algorithm Implementation. Days 8 through 14. Week 2 was about integrating the 3 pillars of authority into her daily interactions. She started occupying space more fully, speaking from her diaphragm, and giving people her complete attention during conversations. The results were immediate and sometimes uncomfortable. People started asking for her opinions in meetings. Her subordinates began coming to her with questions they used to take to other managers. She was becoming someone others naturally looked to for leadership. Phase 3. social recalibration. Days 15 through 21. This is where things got interesting. As Sarah's confidence solidified, she had to recalibrate all her social relationships. Some people loved the new Sarah. Others felt threatened by her transformation. She learned that confidence isn't just about changing yourself. It's about changing the entire dynamic of how you relate to the world. Some relationships deepened. Others ended. New opportunities appeared that she never would have noticed before. Phase 4. Integration and expansion. Days 22 through 30. The final phase was about integrating everything she'd learned and beginning to expand into new areas of her life. She joined a professional association she'd been too intimidated to approach. She started a side consulting business. She began dating for the first time in 3 years. But the real transformation wasn't in what she did. It was in who she became. Here's what most people don't understand about confidence. It's not a skill you learn once and forget. It's a neurological state that becomes your new default through consistent practice. Research from Stanford's Neuroscience Institute shows that these kinds of embodied changes can become permanent in as little as 30 days of consistent practice. Sarah's brain literally rewired itself. The neural pathways associated with anxiety and self-doubt weakened, while the pathways associated with confidence and competence strengthened. But here's the crucial part. This isn't positive thinking or mindset work. This is actual neurological change. Sarah's amygdala, her brain's fear center, became less reactive. Her prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive decision-making, became more active. Her nervous system learned to default to calm alertness instead of anxious hypervigilance. 90 days after starting this protocol, Sarah's life was unrecognizable. She'd been promoted to senior engineer, was leading a team of 12 people, and had been asked to speak at a major tech conference. But the external changes weren't even the most dramatic part. The most dramatic change was internal. Sarah no longer experienced that constant background anxiety that had been her companion for 32 years. She no longer rehearsed conversations or second-guessed her decisions. She existed in a state of calm confidence that felt as natural as breathing. 3 months ago, Sarah couldn't order pizza without anxiety. Last week, she gave a keynote presentation to 500 people and received a standing ovation. The difference isn't that she learned to manage her anxiety better, it's that her nervous system learned to exist in a completely different state. But Sarah's transformation didn't just change her life, it changed the lives of everyone around her. Her team's productivity increased by 40% under her leadership. Her younger sister, inspired by Sarah's changes, started her own business. Her parents, who had worried about her social anxiety for years, watched their daughter become the confident woman they'd always known she could be. This is what happens when you access real confidence. It's not just about you. It's about the ripple effect of grounded, authentic presence in a world full of anxiety and performance. So here's where we are. You now know what Sarah knew 3 months ago. You understand that confidence isn't a feeling to generate or a mindset to adopt. It's a neurological state you can access through specific, scientifically backed techniques. You know about the 90-second neural reset. You understand the authority algorithm. You've seen the invisible confidence killers that have been sabotaging your progress. You know about the dangerous confidence protocol that can transform your life in 30 days. Now you have a choice. You can close this video, maybe save it to watch later, and go back to your comfortable patterns of anxiety and self-doubt. You can keep telling yourself that confidence is for other people, that you're just not that type of person, that someday when you're ready you'll work on yourself. This is the choice most people make. It's safe. It's familiar. It requires nothing of you except accepting that your current limitations are permanent. Or you can make the dangerous choice. You can decide that your current limitations are not permanent features of your personality, but temporary patterns in your nervous system. You can commit to 30 days of intentional practice. You can become dangerously confident. I call it dangerous because once you access real confidence, there's no going back to small thinking, limited dreams, or settling for less than you're capable of. You'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. People will respond to you differently. You'll expect more from yourself and from life. Here's what I want you to do. If you're serious about transformation, If you're tired of watching other people live the life you want, commit to the 30-day Dangerous Confidence Protocol. Start tomorrow morning with a 90-second neural reset. Practice it every day for 7 days. Eliminate one invisible confidence killer per week. Integrate the authority algorithm into your daily interactions. But don't just do it, document it. Keep a confidence journal. Notice what changes. Pay attention to how people respond to you differently. Track the opportunities that start appearing in your life. You won't be doing this alone. Thousands of people have used these techniques to transform their lives. Marcus negotiated a $15,000 raise in his first week. Jennifer went from terrified of public speaking to giving a TED Talk in 6 months. David had 3 job offers within 30 days of implementing these protocols. In the comments, I want you to write, "I choose dangerous." That's your commitment to yourself and to this community that you're not settling for small confidence anymore. You're going for the real thing. But this is just the beginning. Next week, I'm releasing the advanced techniques that only the top 1% of confident people know. I'll show you the presence hijack method that makes people remember you long after you've left the room. You'll learn the influence cascade technique that makes your ideas more compelling and your requests harder to refuse. I'll reveal the authentic charisma protocol that attracts opportunities, relationships, and success without trying. And I'll share the unshakable core method that maintains your confidence even under extreme pressure or criticism. But here's something important. These advanced techniques will only be available to people who are subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on. YouTube's algorithm means that if you're not subscribed, you might never see the next video in this series. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. The technique I'm sharing next week took me 3 years to develop and has only been taught to my private coaching clients who pay $5,000 for access. I'm so confident in these methods that I'll make you a guarantee. Practice the Dangerous Confidence Protocol exactly as I've outlined for 30 days. If you don't see measurable improvement in your confidence, your presence, and how people respond to you, I'll personally work with you to troubleshoot what's going wrong. That's how much I believe in the power of neurologically based confidence training. So here's what happens next. 1. Like this video if you're ready to become dangerously confident. 2. Comment, "I choose dangerous," to commit to your transformation. 3. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the advanced techniques. 4. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Confidence is contagious. 5. Start your 90-second neural reset practice tomorrow morning. Remember, you're not trying to become more confident. You're recognizing that confidence is your natural state when your nervous system isn't trapped in anxiety patterns. You're not adding something to your personality. You're removing the obstacles that have been hiding who you really are. Sarah didn't become a different person. She became more herself. The confident, competent, powerful woman had always been there, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. Your transformation starts the moment you decide that your current limitations are not permanent features of who you are. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident person was once exactly where you are right now. The only difference between them and you is that they decided to change their nervous system instead of just thinking about it. Your future self, the confident, powerful, magnetic version of you, is waiting. They're watching this moment, hoping you'll make the choice that changes everything. 3 months from now, you could be living Sarah's story. 6 months from now, you could be the person others look to for confidence and leadership. 1 year from now, you could be unrecognizable to who you are today. Or you could be exactly the same, watching other people transform while you stay comfortable in your familiar patterns of limitation. But there's something I haven't told you yet. Something about confidence that even most neuroscientists don't understand. It has to do with what I call confidence contagion. The way your transformed nervous system actually affects the nervous systems of everyone around you. When you master this principle, people don't just respond to your confidence, they actually become more confident themselves when they're around you. You become a source of calm strength that elevates everyone in your presence. I'll be revealing this principle and teaching you how to master it in next week's video. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because this is information that could change not just your life, but the lives of everyone you interact with. Until then, practice the 90-second neural reset. Start eliminating the invisible confidence killers. Begin your journey to dangerous confidence. Your transformation starts now. I'll see you in the next video. Before we go any further, I need to tell you something that might make you angry. And honestly, it should make you angry. Because what I'm about to reveal to you has been deliberately hidden from you for decades. Everything you've been taught about confidence is not just wrong, it's deliberately misleading. And I have the receipts to prove it. The confidence industry is worth over $13 billion annually. That's billion with a B. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire GDP of some countries. And here's the kicker. This industry has zero financial incentive for you to actually become confident. Let me say that again because this is crucial. The people selling you confidence solutions profit more when you stay unconfident than when you succeed. Think about it logically. If their methods actually worked, if that $39 course or $200 seminar actually gave you unshakable confidence, you'd use their techniques once and never need their products again. You'd be done. Cured. Confident for life. But that's not what happens, is it? You try the power poses, standing like Superman in the bathroom mirror before your presentation. You do the affirmations, repeating, "I am confident," 50 times each morning. You practice the visualization techniques, imagining yourself succeeding while meditation music plays in the background. And maybe, just maybe, you feel better for a few hours. There's a momentary lift, a brief spark of hope. But then what happens? The anxiety comes back. The self-doubt creeps in. The fear returns, often stronger than before. Because now you're not just afraid of failing, you're afraid that you're broken, that nothing will ever work for you. So what do? You buy the next book, the next course, the next seminar. You convince yourself that this time will be different. This guru has the secret the others missed. This method is the one that will finally set you free. This cycle isn't an accident. This pattern isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. It's by design. The confidence industry has perfected what I call the hamster wheel of hope. They give you just enough progress to keep you engaged, but never enough to actually solve your problem permanently. Because a permanently solved customer is a lost customer. Now, before you think I'm just another person trying to tear down an industry to sell you my own solution, let me be clear about something. I'm not selling you anything today. What I'm about to share with you is based on 15 years of research, over 10,000 hours of client work, and direct access to unpublished studies from leading neuroscience labs. The information I'm giving you today could literally save you thousands of dollars and years of frustration. More importantly, it could be the difference between living with chronic self-doubt and stepping into the kind of presence that changes everything about how people respond to you. So let me share with you the 3 confidence myths that are keeping you trapped in this cycle. These aren't just misconceptions. They're carefully constructed lies that ensure you remain a customer forever. Myth number 1. Confidence is about feeling good. This is the foundation of almost every confidence program on the market. They tell you that confidence is a feeling, specifically, a good feeling. They promise to make you feel powerful, positive, and unstoppable. But here's what they don't tell you. True confidence exists independently of your emotional state. I learned this the hard way when I was working with Marcus, a Fortune 500 CEO, who came to me because he was having panic attacks before board meetings. This was a man who had built 3 successful companies, managed thousands of employees, and made decisions worth millions of dollars daily. "I don't understand," he told me during our first session. "I've accomplished everything I set out to do, but I still feel terrified half the time. Am I just broken?" Marcus had fallen for myth number 1. He thought that confident people feel confident all the time. But when I interviewed 200 high performers across different industries, CEOs, professional athletes, acclaimed artists, influential politicians, I discovered something shocking. Every single one of them reported feeling anxious, uncertain, or inadequate on a regular basis. The difference wasn't what they felt, it was how they related to what they felt. Confident people don't feel good all the time. They feel everything: fear, doubt, excitement, nervousness, but they've learned to perform confidently regardless of their internal weather. Think about it. Do you really want your confidence to be dependent on your feelings? Feelings change constantly. They're influenced by your sleep, your blood sugar, your hormones, the weather, what someone said to you 3 hours ago. If your confidence requires you to feel good, then your confidence is always at the mercy of factors completely outside your control. That's not confidence, that's emotional dependency. Real confidence is what I call emotional independence. It's the ability to take effective action even when you feel scared, uncertain, or unprepared. Myth number 2. You need to overcome your fear to be confident. This myth is particularly insidious because it sounds so logical. Fear and confidence seem like opposites, right? If you're afraid, you can't be confident. If you're confident, you shouldn't be afraid. But this binary thinking is exactly what keeps people stuck. The truth is, the most confident people feel fear all the time, they just have a different relationship with it. Let me tell you about Maria, a former client who was a brilliant software engineer but couldn't speak up in meetings. She'd spent 2 years trying to overcome her fear of judgment before speaking publicly. She tried exposure therapy, gradually working her way up from talking to her mirror to speaking in front of small groups. She practiced breathing techniques to calm her nervous system. She used cognitive behavioral therapy to challenge her fearful thoughts. All of these approaches assumed that she needed to eliminate her fear before she could be confident. But fear wasn't her problem. Her relationship with fear was her problem. The breakthrough came when I taught her something counterintuitive. What if you could be afraid and confident at the same time? During our work together, I showed her videos of professional performers, actors, musicians, public speakers talking about their pre-performance anxiety. These were people at the top of their fields, commanding respect and admiration, and every single one of them described feeling terrified before going on stage. The difference was that they had learned to interpret their fear differently. Instead of seeing fear as evidence that they weren't ready or weren't good enough, they learned to see it as evidence that they cared about doing well. Fear became their ally, not their enemy. When Maria finally spoke up in her next team meeting, heart pounding, palms sweating, voice slightly shaky, something magical happened. Her ideas were brilliant. Her perspective was exactly what the team needed. And her slight nervousness actually made her more relatable and authentic. She didn't overcome her fear. She included her fear and spoke anyway. That's real confidence. Myth number 3. Confidence comes from positive thinking and self-talk. This is perhaps the most dangerous lie of all, and it's the cornerstone of the modern self-help industry. They've convinced millions of people that the path to confidence is through managing their thoughts, replacing negative thoughts with positive ones, practicing affirmations, and maintaining an optimistic mindset. But positive thinking without aligned action doesn't create confidence. It creates internal conflict that actually increases anxiety. Let me explain why. Your subconscious mind is not stupid. It knows the difference between reality and wishful thinking. When you tell yourself, "I am confident," while simultaneously avoiding challenging situations, your subconscious recognizes the disconnect. This creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension that occurs when your beliefs and your behaviors don't match. And your brain will always resolve this tension by discarding the belief and trusting the behavior. So when you say, "I am confident," but act in unconfident ways, your brain concludes that you're lying to yourself. This actually reinforces the very self-doubt you're trying to overcome. Sarah discovered this the hard way. She'd spent 5 years doing affirmations every morning, standing in front of her bathroom mirror, telling herself she was confident and worthy of success. "I am powerful. I am capable. I am confident," she would repeat, trying to pump herself up for the day ahead. But every time she had to speak up in a meeting, her heart would race and her voice would shake. Every time she had to make a difficult decision, she would second-guess herself and seek validation from others. Every time an opportunity for advancement appeared, she would find reasons why she wasn't quite ready yet. The disconnect between her positive thoughts and her actual experience wasn't building confidence. It was creating more stress, not less. She felt like a fraud, telling herself she was confident while acting in ways that proved the opposite. The internal war between her affirmations and her actions was exhausting her. Then she learned about the confidence paradox and everything changed. The confidence paradox is this: the harder you try to feel confident, the more elusive confidence becomes. But when you understand the real mechanics of confidence, the actual neurological patterns that create unshakable presence, everything shifts. Here's what's really happening in your brain when you try to think your way to confidence. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, is trying to override your limbic system, the emotional, survival-oriented part of your brain. But here's the problem: your limbic system is faster, stronger, and more primitive than your prefrontal cortex. It's been keeping humans alive for millions of years, and it's not going to be overruled by some positive affirmations you learned from a YouTube video. When your limbic system detects a threat, whether it's speaking in public, asking for a raise, or approaching someone attractive, it floods your system with stress hormones before your rational mind even knows what's happening. No amount of positive thinking can compete with that biological response. It's like trying to stop a freight train with positive vibes. But the billion-dollar confidence industry doesn't want you to know this because it would put them out of business. Confident people don't need confidence products. They don't buy books about building self-esteem. They don't attend seminars about overcoming limiting beliefs. Confident people are unprofitable customers. So instead, the industry keeps you focused on the wrong things: your thoughts, your feelings, your mindset, while completely ignoring the actual mechanisms that create confidence. But what are those mechanisms? What's the actual neurological foundation of unshakable confidence? To understand this, we need to look at what confidence actually is at the brain level. Confidence isn't a feeling or a thought. It's a neurological state. Specifically, it's what happens when your nervous system is regulated, your stress response is calibrated, and your brain trusts your ability to handle whatever comes your way. This trust isn't based on positive thinking or good feelings. It's based on evidence. Evidence that you've successfully navigated challenges before, evidence that you can learn and adapt, evidence that you can survive and thrive even when things don't go according to plan. But here's the crucial part. This evidence isn't created through visualization or affirmations. It's created through action. Specific types of action that I call confidence deposits. Every time you do something slightly outside your comfort zone and survive, you make a confidence deposit in your neurological bank account. Every time you face a fear and discover it wasn't as bad as you imagined, you build evidence that you can handle uncertainty. Your brain is constantly keeping score. It's tracking your wins and losses, your successes and failures, your courage and your avoidance. And based on that data, it makes predictions about how you'll handle future challenges. When your track record shows that you consistently back down from challenges, your brain predicts that you'll continue backing down. This prediction shows up as anxiety, self-doubt, and hesitation. But when your track record shows that you consistently face challenges, even when you're afraid, even when you're not sure you'll succeed, your brain predicts that you'll continue showing up. This prediction shows up as confidence. This is why all the thinking and feeling and visualizing in the world won't create real confidence. Your brain doesn't care what you think about yourself. It cares what you do. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I have tried taking action before. I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I've faced my fears, and I still don't feel confident. And you're right. Random action isn't enough. Most people are taking the wrong kinds of action in the wrong sequence without understanding the underlying principles that make action confidence building rather than confidence destroying. There's a specific science to building confidence through action. There are particular types of challenges that build confidence and other types that actually destroy it. There are optimal levels of difficulty that stretch you without overwhelming you. There are ways to frame your experiences that maximize their confidence-building potential. The confidence industry doesn't teach you any of this because it's too complex, too nuanced, and too effective. They can't package it into a simple formula or a catchy acronym. And most importantly, if they taught you the real science of confidence building, you'd only need to learn it once. But I'm going to share it with you today because what I'm about to reveal will change everything about how you think about confidence, courage, and personal power. The real science of confidence is based on something called stress inoculation. This is a principle borrowed from immunology and adapted for psychological resilience. Just like your immune system gets stronger by being exposed to small amounts of pathogens, your confidence gets stronger by being exposed to small amounts of stress and uncertainty. But here's the key: the exposure has to be calibrated correctly. Too little stress, and you don't grow. Too much stress, and you get overwhelmed and potentially traumatized. The sweet spot is what psychologists call optimal stress, or eustress. Challenges that are difficult enough to stretch you but manageable enough that you can succeed with effort. Think of it like weight training for your nervous system. You wouldn't try to bench press 300 pounds on your first day at the gym. You'd start with a weight that's challenging but achievable and gradually increase the difficulty as you get stronger. Confidence building works the same way. You start with challenges that are slightly outside your comfort zone, situations that make you a little nervous but aren't completely overwhelming. As you successfully navigate these smaller challenges, you build the neurological foundation to handle bigger ones. But most people skip this gradual process. They either stay completely in their comfort zone, or they throw themselves into situations that are way beyond their current capacity. Both approaches fail to build real confidence. The staying in your comfort zone approach fails for obvious reasons. You never build evidence that you can handle challenges, so your brain continues to predict that you can't. But the jumping into the deep end approach fails for more subtle reasons. When you take on challenges that are too far outside your current capacity, you often end up feeling overwhelmed, defeated, or traumatized. This actually creates negative evidence, proof that you can't handle challenges, which decreases rather than increases your confidence. This is why so many people have tried confidence-building activities and ended up feeling worse about themselves. They were doing the right thing, taking action, but they were calibrating it incorrectly. The science of optimal challenge tells us that the best confidence-building experiences have 3 characteristics. First, they're specific and measurable. Vague goals like be more confident or overcome my fears don't work because your brain can't track progress on something that's not clearly defined. Second, they're slightly outside your current comfort zone, but not overwhelmingly difficult. The optimal challenge level is about 15 to 20% beyond what feels completely comfortable. Third, they're repeated consistently over time. One-off experiences, no matter how powerful, don't create lasting confidence. Confidence is built through patterns, not isolated events. When you understand these principles and apply them systematically, something remarkable happens. Your nervous system begins to recalibrate. Your brain starts collecting evidence that you can handle uncertainty, that you can learn and adapt, that you can succeed even when you're afraid. This evidence accumulates over time, creating what I call neurological momentum. Each success makes the next challenge feel more manageable. Each fear faced makes the next fear less intimidating. Each comfort zone expansion makes your overall comfort zone bigger. But there's one more crucial element that the confidence industry completely ignores, and it's perhaps the most important piece of the puzzle. Confidence isn't just about your individual actions, it's about your identity. At the deepest level, confidence is about who you believe yourself to be. And identity isn't changed through affirmations or positive thinking. Identity is changed through what psychologists call identity-based evidence. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you are. When you avoid a challenging conversation, you're voting for, I am the type of person who avoids difficult situations. When you speak up despite being nervous, you're voting for, I am the type of person who does hard things. Your brain is constantly tallying these votes, and the winner becomes your identity. This is why confident people stay confident even when they fail or make mistakes. Their identity as a confident person is supported by so much evidence that isolated negative experiences can't shake it. But it's also why unconfident people stay unconfident even after successes. If your identity is built on a foundation of avoidance and self-doubt, occasional wins feel like flukes rather than evidence of your capability. The key is to start consciously casting votes for the identity you want to develop. Every small act of courage, every moment of speaking up, every time you do something despite being afraid, these are votes for, I am a confident person. At first, the votes for your new identity will be outnumbered by votes for your old identity. But as you consistently take confidence-building actions, the balance starts to shift. There's a tipping point. usually after about 90 days of consistent action, where your brain starts to see more evidence for your new confident identity than your old unconfident identity. When this happens, confidence stops being something you have to work at and starts being something you simply are. This is the moment when everything changes. When confidence becomes integrated into your identity rather than something you're trying to achieve, it becomes automatic and unshakable. But getting to this tipping point requires understanding something that the confidence industry will never teach you: the role of your nervous system in confidence. Your nervous system has 3 states: sympathetic activation, fight or flight; parasympathetic activation, rest and digest; and what's called social engagement, calm alertness. Most people trying to build confidence are stuck in chronic sympathetic activation. They're constantly in fight or flight mode, which makes it almost impossible to access the calm, centered state that real confidence requires. All the affirmations and positive thinking in the world won't work if your nervous system is dysregulated. You can't think your way out of a nervous system problem. But when you learn to regulate your nervous system, when you can access that calm, alert state even in challenging situations, confidence becomes natural and effortless. This is the missing piece that ties everything together. When your nervous system is regulated, you can take optimal challenges without being overwhelmed. When you can take optimal challenges consistently, you build identity-based evidence for confidence. When you have identity-based evidence for confidence, you naturally show up with presence and authority. It's a virtuous cycle, but it starts with nervous system regulation. Now, I know this might sound complex, but the actual practice is surprisingly simple. There are specific techniques, breathing patterns, movement practices, mindfulness approaches that can shift your nervous system state in minutes. When you combine these regulation techniques with properly calibrated challenges and identity-based thinking, you create what I call the confidence spiral. Instead of the downward spiral of self-doubt that most people experience, you create an upward spiral of increasing capability and self-trust. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't theory. This isn't speculation. This is based on cutting-edge neuroscience research and proven in the real world with thousands of clients. The people who understand these principles, who know how to regulate their nervous system, take optimal challenges, and build identity-based evidence, don't just become more confident. They become magnetic. They develop the kind of presence that makes others want to follow them, trust them, and be around them. This is what I call neurological charisma, the natural magnetism that emerges when someone's nervous system is regulated, their identity is strong, and their track record proves they can handle whatever life throws at them. And here's the beautiful part. Once you build this foundation, confidence becomes self-reinforcing. You don't have to work at it anymore. You don't need books or courses or seminars. You don't need affirmations or visualization exercises. You simply show up as yourself, calm, capable, ready for whatever comes next. This is why the confidence industry doesn't want you to know this information. Because once you understand the real science of confidence, you become unsellable. You don't need their products anymore. But there's something else they don't want you to know. Something even more important than the mechanics of building confidence. They don't want you to know that confidence isn't actually the end goal. Confidence is just the beginning. When you have real, neurologically based confidence, it opens doors to possibilities you can't even imagine right now. It changes how people respond to you, how opportunities show up in your life, how much impact you can have in the world. Confident people don't just feel better about themselves, they change everything around them. They become leaders, innovators, creators. They build businesses, movements, legacies. But to access this level of influence and impact, you need to understand something that goes beyond individual confidence. You need to understand social confidence, how to build trust and rapport with others, how to influence and persuade ethically, how to create the kind of presence that naturally draws people in. This is the next level of development that most people never reach because they get stuck trying to fix their individual confidence issues with methods that don't work. But when you understand the real science, when you can regulate your nervous system, take optimal challenges, and build identity-based evidence, you create a foundation that makes advanced social skills natural and effortless. You stop trying to impress people and start connecting with them. You stop trying to prove yourself and start being yourself. You stop managing your image and start sharing your authentic value. This is when confidence transforms from a personal development goal into a vehicle for contribution and impact. And this is exactly what we're going to explore in the next part of this series. Because once you've built the neurological foundation of individual confidence, the question becomes, how do you use that confidence to create positive change in the world around you? How do you become not just confident, but influential? Not just self-assured, but inspiring? Not just comfortable in your own skin, but magnetic to others? These are the questions that separate confident people from truly exceptional people. And they're the questions we'll be diving deep into next time. But before we go there, I want to make sure you have a chance to integrate what we've covered today. Because understanding these concepts intellectually is only the first step. The real transformation happens when you start applying them. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to identify one area of your life where you've been avoiding a challenge because you don't feel confident enough. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation with someone important to you. Maybe it's applying for a promotion or starting a side business. Maybe it's joining a new social group or taking up a creative pursuit. Whatever it is, I want you to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. Remember the principle of optimal challenge, 15 to 20% outside your comfort zone, but not overwhelming. Then I want you to commit to taking one small action toward this challenge within the next 48 hours. Not next week, not when you feel ready, within 48 hours. This action doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to solve everything. It just has to be a vote for the identity you want to develop. Remember, every action is a vote. What are you voting for? And here's something crucial. When you take this action, pay attention to what happens in your nervous system. Notice if you feel activated or overwhelmed. Notice if you feel energized or depleted afterward. This awareness will help you calibrate future challenges. If the action felt too easy, you can increase the difficulty next time. If it felt overwhelming, you can scale it back. The goal isn't to be heroic or dramatic. The goal is to build evidence, one small action at a time, that you can handle uncertainty and challenge. As you do this, something remarkable will start to happen. You'll begin to notice that the voice of self-doubt gets quieter. The feeling of anxiety becomes less intense. The hesitation before taking action starts to fade. This isn't because you're thinking more positively or feeling more confident. It's because your brain is collecting new data about who you are and what you're capable of. And as this data accumulates, your entire sense of self will begin to shift. You'll start to see yourself as someone who does hard things, someone who faces challenges, someone who grows and adapts and thrives. This is the real work of building confidence. Not managing your thoughts or feelings, but consistently taking actions that align with the person you want to become. It's simple, but it's not easy. It requires courage, consistency, and patience. But the results are undeniable. And the best part? Once you experience this kind of identity-based transformation, you'll never go back to trying to think your way to confidence. You'll understand at a cellular level that confidence is built through action, not imagination. This is the secret that the billion-dollar confidence industry doesn't want you to discover. Because once you know it, you'll never need to buy another confidence product again. You'll be too busy living confidently to worry about feeling confident. In our next episode, we're going to explore how to use this foundation of neurologically based confidence to develop what I call social magnetism, the ability to naturally attract opportunities, relationships, and influence. We'll dive into the science of charisma, the psychology of leadership, and the practical skills that separate confident people from truly exceptional people. But that foundation we've built today, understanding that confidence is neurological, not emotional, that it's built through action, not thinking, that it's about identity, not feelings, this foundation is everything. Without it, all the charisma techniques and leadership strategies in the world are just surface-level manipulation. But with it, everything else becomes natural and authentic. So take that action. Make that vote. Start building the evidence that will transform not just how you feel about yourself, but who you actually are. Your future self is counting on it. And remember, once you see this, you can't unsee it. The game has changed. The rules are different now. Welcome to real confidence.